Welcome to the Numbers Game. I'm Cynthia Frelund. Let's break down Falcons at Bucks, our NFL Thursday Night Football tilt to start off Week 15. I realize a lot of shows follow a pretty normal format, so you always know what to expect. I don't know if I ever want to be accused of being like every other show. Here we experiment. We're trying to make the show better every single week, which is why we're going to switch things up just a little bit this week. So we're going to do this show, which is TNF, just like normal. And then we're going to do a show on just the early slate of Sunday games. That will come out a little bit later. Let's call it Friday morning-ish. And then we'll do a third show on the late slate of Sunday games and Sunday Night Football and Monday Night Football. So 3 shows this week. Let me know how you like it. My value proposition for this show is to give you the best and most predictive data points and the why behind what drives them, so you can better connect with NFL football, get deeper into the strategy, have even more fun watching. And I just want to see what format works best. So communicate, put it in the comments. I love hearing from you, and we'll see what works best and keep making the show better every single week. Let's start where we always do. We'll do some accounting from week 14. My results, 8-8 straight up. 5-11 against the spread and 9-7 on totals, bringing my season to 63.5% straight up, 47.4 against the spread, and 53.8 on totals. On to week 15, which starts in Tampa Bay. The Bucks have the same record, 7-6, and division win and loss total, 2-1, as the Panthers, but the Bucks are in first place in the South because their common game tiebreaker over Carolina is 5-4 versus 4-5. The Bucks and Panthers play each other in weeks 16 and 18. So as of right now, my model has Tampa Bay winning the division for the 5th consecutive season and hosting a home playoff game in 64.4% of simulations. However, TNF is huge. Right now, Carolina sits at 35.6%. Makes sense because Atlanta and New Orleans are both mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. With a Bucks win, Tampa goes to a 70.3% playoff chance, and with a loss, it's 57.4%. If Tampa wins on TNF, Carolina's chances drop to 29.7%, but if Atlanta wins, it helps the Panthers and boosts their odds to 42.6%. In other words, Panthers fans are Falcons fans for this Thursday matchup. That is the bigger playoff picture, so let's get into the game. The odds makers have the Bucks as 4-point home favorites, with the total sitting at 44.5. When I run the simulations, 1 million of them to be exact, my model sees a slightly more comfortable night for Baker Mayfield and company. Tampa wins 26-20, which is also more total points. Starting with the Falcons offense against the Bucks defense. Bijan Robinson has a franchise record 38% of Atlanta's scrimmage yards this season. That's the highest rate in the league since 2019 Christian McCaffrey. He's had 100-plus scrimmage yards in 8 straight division games. That is tied for the longest streak in Atlanta history. Way back in their Week 1 matchup, he was held to just 24 rushing, which is his season low, but he had 100 receiving yards with a receiving touchdown. Remember that 50-yarder? That was in a Falcons loss, but of course, a 50-yard receiving touchdown for Bijan is pretty cool. For both teams, how their quarterback fares against the blitz matters. So Tampa Bay's defense has the 5th highest blitz rate, 34%. They allow the lowest passer rating to quarterbacks when they blitz at just 52. Kirk Cousins has a 115 passer rating against the blitz. So the parallel here, both teams were looking like they could get their wide receiver ones back, though Drake London has been ruled out. So maybe we'll see Mike Evans come back, but not Drake London. It would be best for Kirk Cousins to avoid any sort of pass in the direction of Jamel Dean, who's allowed just a 26.1 passer rating on 46 targets, with 18 of them being caught and 3 being intercepted. That is tracking as the best single-season passer rating allowed in the next-gen stats era. Moving to Tampa Bay's offense against Atlanta's defense, a dynamic back is the headliner here, too. Bucky Irving is averaging 12.9 yards after the catch per reception this season. That's the most of any running back with at least 20 receptions. He's forced a missed tackle at a 52% rate on those receptions, which is the second most among running backs. His 297 yards off of yak include 83 over expected. That is 6th best at the position. And remember, he's only played 6 games. Atlanta has allowed 508 yards after the catch to running backs. That is the 9th most. And they missed tackles on a little more than the league average amount. So they're tracking at 19% in terms of missed tackle rate. The league average is 17%. You know who else needs to be accounted for in the run game? Baker Mayfield. When it matters, he is great at rushing. He has 18 rushing first downs on 3rd and 4th down. those scrambles are 7 more than any other player this season, and they're the 3rd most for any quarterback in a season since 2018. So that's for a full season too. He's probably going to get that number 1 spot there. Of course, the blitz definitely matters here. Maybe Baker will scramble to escape it. The Falcons are 2nd in terms of blitz rate at 41%, a number that balloons to 54% on 3rd down. That is the highest rate on this crucial down, not just for 2025, but over the past 5 seasons. Baker Mayfield's passer rating is only 67.8 against the blitz, so perhaps he runs to get away. Will we get the return of Mike Evans? It is certainly tracking that way, but we're going to put a pin in that one and then kind of project all the things around it. And I need to mention the rookies that matter in this matchup. For Tampa, Emeka Egbuka, he's slowed down as of late. He's averaging just 45.1 receiving yards per game over his last 8 games. It started out as 89 per game in weeks 1 through 5. He's averaged more targets over the last 8 games too. He's had 9 in the first 5 games. He was averaging just 7.6 targets. Here's the thing. He's had an NFL low 40.3 catch rate since week 6 because he's had 6 drops. That is the most in the league over that span. However, his 6 receiving touchdowns are still 2nd most among rookies. And the fellow rookie wideout on his team, Tez Johnson, he has 5 receiving touchdowns, which is tied for 3rd most. On the other side, Atlanta's James Pierce Jr., the 26th overall pick, and Jalen Walker, the 15th overall pick, lead all rookies with 6 and 5 sacks, respectively. Pierce has 1 or more sack in 5 straight games. That is the longest rookie streak since 2021 Micah Parsons. And Jalen Walker is not going to be playing in this game. However, Xavier Watts, the 96th pick in the draft, leads all rookies with 3 interceptions, and he also leads all rookies with the most snaps of defense played at 803. Fun fact for Atlanta, no team since individual sacks were first officially tracked in 1982 has had the outright rookie defensive leader in both sacks and interceptions. They could be first. Bottom line, I have a 26-20 more comfortable than expected win for the Bucs because at least as of this recording, Tristan Wirfs, Jalen McMillan, and maybe even Mike Evans all forecast to return. Bucky Irving is already back, and he's a difference maker. And despite the stat slump that Baker Mayfield is in, his ability to scramble, along with looking at the film of Sam Darnold and JSN, putting on film the ways to stifle the very excellent Falcons corner A.J. Terrell, that gives the Bucs the 6-point edge. Let's do 3 stats to track in this one because we don't have an official ruling on Mike Evans, but we know no Drake London and Kyle Pitts. He's also on the injury report. So let's go with 3 things that we know instead of 6 that we're not necessarily sure of so we can nail them. Number 1, Bucky Irving to have more than 20 receiving yards. Remember what I said about his 12.9 yards of yak per reception? I have strong confidence on this one. Number 2, Baker Mayfield to rush for at least 17 yards. Lots of blitzing on 3rd down by the Falcons. Check that, a 5-year high rate of blitzing on 3rd down versus the quarterback who scrambles to run the most on 3rd and 4th down. Strong confidence here too. Number 3, Bijan Robinson to have at least 36 receiving yards. The Bucs are allowing a league-high 53.9 receiving yards per game to the running back position, and this number is way lower than I would have imagined given the 100-yarder in week 1. I know that was a long time ago, but he's topped 50 receiving yards in 6 games. Remember, a few changes are coming this week, so let me know what you think. Leave some comments below. Hit me up on social. That is our show for TNF. Thank you so much for your time and energy, and I cannot wait to hang out with you all week.